Out.
Now we have audio.
And I fixed Kev's mic.
I'm sorry.
Well, that was the finest program we've ever done.
It was pretty good, wasn't it?
For the lip syncers and the lip readers out there.
Shout out to Paula Crawford, our very own Paula Crawford, our quality assurance at-home show viewer.
Well, thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Paula.
And,
Love you, Paula.
One more little item for the checklist. Make sure audio is up for the podcast.
Oh, also thank you, Santa. He just let us know as well. So everyone's got our backs this morning.
All right. Well,
we talked about that big hoe. I mean, the big hoer. I mean, we did. We covered him. He's going to be out here today. I mean, we don't want to forget that.
Yes, he is. I guess he missed all that part about me talking about him calling me out because I didn't put him in the newsletter this week. But anyway,
okay.
We're not going to rehashed stuff. We're going to proceed on. Fortunately, we had only gotten to the point where we were
starting to answer our questions here.
Now I wonder if here's a question I've got.
Okay.
When if you have your audio turned down,
AI luck.
okay.
But
all right,
we're happy to be back and audible to you all now.
You guys did miss a lot, and you'll never know.
We should have just left it alone and let everybody think it was their own computer or their own device. We've just been moving on.
If you've destroyed any computers up until this process here, sorry, we're not liable, but we're
sorry.
We're sorry.
All right, let's get this question in one more time.
Tyler was a little unstable this morning. He admitted that when he got here.
I was. It was frantic.
But you look great. And that's what matters. It's all about looks.
Thanks.
All right, too late to plant trees? If so, when is a good time to start?
All right,
What do you say, Austin?
Once again, since y'all didn't hear us, yes, it's a great time to plant trees.
Yes.
Best time to plant trees, actually, yeah. No leaves on the trees. It's a very non-stressful transition to get them into the ground. They don't need a ton of water when they're leafless. Now, if you are planting evergreens, you might want to, watch the weather a little bit more. But we've been wet, and we're typically pretty wet over the wintertime, so they're going to water those trees for you. It's totally fine to plant trees in the spring as well. It's just that the later you do it, the more you have to watch the water next summer. So next summer, if we go through a period of drought, especially if we had anything like we had this year, we got really hot and really dry very quickly. So if you were to plant a tree in the spring, you would have certainly had to water that this year. Even if you would have planted last winter, you would have had to water this year because it was just so dry.
Yeah.
But now is definitely the best time to get it planted. You can really see the plant. You can do any pruning if you needed to do with weird limbs or whatever over the winter. Good time to prune. So, yeah, definitely.
And if you had a tree that was not planted, this would have been a great week to have planted it, wouldn't it?
Say an olive tree.
Yeah, like an olive tree.
Would have been a good time for that.
A sample experimental.
Hey, now.
olive
Because
tree.
nature would have watered it for you.
I know. Y'all, it's been a big week for me, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Holiday season's happening. 3 kids. We got stuff
Yeah,
we're
I got-
doing. Josh, you had
yeah.
mentioned the event down at
Did you get a needle stuck in your eye this week? I just want to know.
Put a needle in his eye.
I had a syringe stabbed in my eye this week.
Oh,
That's a true story. It's not. I went to a glaucoma specialist, and because my eye pressure got really elevated, and I thought I was, I was in danger of losing my vision. And after all medications failed to bring the situation back around, I had to be stabbed in the eye with a syringe.
how'd that feel?
That's what I said. Well, when you're faced with blindness, you say, where do I need to put my chin? Where do I need to put my forehead? Where do I need to look? And you just obey orders in the best of your abilities. That's what I did.
Did they give you any numbing?
There was
medicine?
one numbing drop.
Yeah.
One drop.
Did it
One
work?
drop, yeah. Well, you don't have all that much feeling really in your eye. I could feel it. But it wasn't painful.
Does it make a noise like it did on the Stooges when they do
No,
that?
doink. It didn't. No, it didn't. There was no doinking sound. No.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Are we
quickly.
ready for another question?
Oh, quickly, I have
Certainly.
changed the profile picture on the at-home show.
You're
with,
so
Josh
fast
Cary.
with technology.
And
Blown away.
Austin was mentioning there was an event, and it's called, oh my goodness, I've lost the name of what it was called, but out
It's
at
called Enchant.
Enchant. Okay,
yes.
with the Hallmark people and the Hallmark channel at the First Horizon Park.
Yeah, where the sounds play.
Folks, it is pretty spectacular. There's several millions of lights and huge, tiny reindeer.
Did you verify the count? I'm just.
I
curious.
did. As I was
Okay.
moving through.
So when you got past like 3 million, you said, "Well, it's already."
That's why I took Diana.
It's already several
Okay.
million now. So.
Yeah, I just took Diana, but I wanted to. We were guests of Ingram Book Company. It was part of their Ingram thing that they do every Christmas, and we thank it. But Austin, did you see the cool wavy lights that were in the stands? I thought those
Yes.
need to be in every yard in Middle Tennessee
They
and
do.
across the world.
Yeah, my wife pointed those out. Oh, how do you think they did that? I think it's like little metal wires or something.
It was
that were
little
like-
they had little robots on it. I actually had to go down and check it out, but they
Yeah.
were all, and folks, you can just see it. It's like someone was doing the wave or
Yeah.
with their phones on at a concert, and each one of those mechanisms had 4 flexible arms with an LED on the end of it, and it was cool.
It was cool to see.
So that they just changed which light was illuminated. Is that
No,
what? No.
they stayed on constantly,
They
but
just always
So, they just kind of all
they kind of
moved.
flopped
I
and
got
moved
you.
around in the
Okay.
weights, but it was neat. It was magical. They had snow going on the guitar-shaped scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
You had ice skating out there, and
I ice skated.
Did you fall down?
Negative.
No.
I'm a great ice
But
skater.
something exciting did happen while
Huh?
you were there.
Huh?
What?
What?
Jog my memory.
Someone recognized you from our social media.
That's true. Yeah. Someone was there and they were very excited to see me. They mentioned me and Caroline on our little questions we answer each week on the Instagram. He was very happy to see me. I was very happy that he recognized me. So
You're
there you go.
somebody, man.
I'm somebody, man.
You've made it.
Did the new phone book come out this week?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But anyway,
Yeah,
y'all, the
people
ice
going,
skating
what's a
was fun.
phone book?
What's a phone book?
The ice
Oh.
skating was fun. My 2 daughters, my 6 and my 4-year-old, got out there with me. That was a struggle because they had never done it before. So as y'all know, ice is slippery. And, but
It's
anyway,
hard,
I was-
too.
Yeah, I was holding them in front of me, trying to do my best to get them to learn how to do it, and I'm still sore from it. My legs and my back is broke from doing that. But it was a
That was
really
like
good
4
time.
days ago.
I know. I'm old.
Oh God!
Oh.
You got me crying over here. You better stop.
Oh, and the yard boy said that he had thought his machine was his computer was probably down, so he had his volume cranked all the way up to the max. Boom! It comes back. Oh, by the way, I hear that he might have bacon back in if you need bacon.
Oh,
so,
wow.
so-
And that's over at ineedbacon.com.
yes,
is
Smith
that right?
Farms. Yes, it is.
Okay. We don't have sponsors on this program
No.
outside of these, but
He is the official smoked meat provider of the at-home program.
right,
Has
he's
for
been
years.
a little lean in supplying
We haven't.
smoked meats of late.
Yeah,
You know?
well,
I haven't noticed any, dropping by. But anyway,
With fully cooked product.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
but we'll see. It could happen.
It
right?
could happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's,
He's busy with basketball. Anyway, we're back to questions, I guess, Caroline. If you
Let's
want
do
to.
it. I want to.
Okay.
I would love to.
Okay.
This question comes from Miriam. Good
Hi,
morning,
Hello.
Miriam.
Hey, Miriam.
All right. Any successful planting tips on Allium giganteum?
Great question, Miriam. That's a funny one. I mean, not necessarily funny. It can be a tricky
That one is hilarious.
Well, the bulbs you plant on this plant are huge, hence the species name, which is giganteum. You get so Allium giganteum is a big bulb that's also it's an ornamental onion, is what it is. So it has these big. This is the biggest one, so it's got these big round blooms atop of a single stalk. So they're kind of cool.
it's like a big lollipop,
It is, and they're bigger than that. I mean, they're like really, really big.
a giant lollipop.
it's like it's huge, and they're not always. They're usually purple, right?
Yeah.
But they're not always purple. Sometimes they're white.
Yeah, sometimes they're white, but they're typically always. This one specifically is typically purple. The key with them, I think, is to not get them in too early. Like I mentioned earlier, we're real wet over the wintertime here, and bulbs can tend to rot on you. And that one is so big that it just holds a lot of water around it over the wintertime. So if I'm going to plant that bulb, I'm going to wait until the early spring to do it. I think is going to be the time. Now they are expensive as well, so you kind of got to be careful. You just get like. What was it? I'm pretty sure it was like $16 for just like one little bulb of this. Like it's a pricey little plant. So We want to make sure it does well. We don't want to put it in over the winter and let it just sit there and rot. It can be okay if you maybe mix some pine fines in with, some soil conditioner or something to keep it a little bit drier. But I'm a fan of doing this one in the spring, like whenever it's getting a little bit warmer and it's a little bit less wet. So that's my tip for you, Miriam. I hope it works for you because, like I said, they're a very, very cool plant if you can get them to live.
They really are.
Ben Trust had one growing at his old house.
I've got I've got a great
cool.
picture I'm looking for on my phone of allium when I was in England, and they are
That's allium minimum over there.
They
isn't it?
are no, it's not
Allium maximum, actually. It's giganteum.
but it is. They use that so effectively in many gardens that it's worth taking pictures of, and I did somewhere.
Okay.
There's pictures of Diana Spencer's home. I got to go there, by the way. I'm just
Nice.
taking a little stroll down memory lane while we're on there.
Well, while you stroll, let's get to another question. We'll give you some time to find that.
day?
Josh, hush.
Okay.
All right. Small evergreen to grow on a slope next to rosemary and euphorbia.
Well,
I haven't experienced euphorbia since probably the
70s.
80s. Yeah.
Knew it. Well, two plants that obviously like it dry and well drained that you already have. So why don't we talk about something that's out in front of us, and juniper, little ground cover juniper. Look at these. These guys are green during the whole season, and then they light up to this like yellow, orange, brownish, bronzy, all sorts of colors with green still down in the middle of them. We brought them in, but great for a hillside, dry slope. Pairs great with rosemary and euphorbia for that matter. This is only one. This one's called Gold Strike, which is, it refers to its golden color over the wintertime. And this will go back to just true green over the spring and summer months. So great plant. There's all sorts of junipers out there. I know Caroline just got some all gold juniper, which I told her to get because they're cool.
I decided on it first, and then you backed me
he
up.
made you do
He
it.
forced
Sold them
me
to
to get.
you. Yep.
You definitely did not. I sold those to
Salesman.
myself.
No.
All right,
But they're in.
We'll agree to disagree here. So.
But anyway, that's just another juniper. All sorts of juniper that do great on a hillside like that. Very dry, very, well-drained soil. So come out and look at our selection of juniper right now because we got a whole bunch.
And this just the camera doesn't give the true color of this. I mean, there's so much orange in it.
There really is.
So you got to come out and see it in person. There's that close-up. Yes, Tyler, close-up cam.
I'm pretty sure we have like 10 of these still left. So if y'all need some, we got them.
There are a lot. I want some, but I already have planted and bought so many things this year. It's time to take a break.
Gorgeous.
It's only calling the height of these just a half of a foot. So the height you get right here is the height you're going to have. Now the spread, though, is going to change. It's going to get at least 4 to 6 feet wide in all directions. So
Do you think if I planted this, grass would come in between it and it would just look terrible? What are your thoughts on
my
that?
thoughts on that is yes. You're
Yes.
typically right early in its life. You've got to weed around them. And there's definitely patches of juniper I've noticed around town that have weeds, especially Bermuda grass. that can get in
Especially-
between. It can be very annoying. Now, as the plant grows and it gets wider, it'll kind of cover the earth a little bit and shade it out to where you don't have as much weed
It's
growth.
just getting to that point.
Getting to that point is difficult sometimes. You got to do some hand weeding, unfortunately. It's hard to spray Roundup around these. It's a lot.
I have a giant hill that I dream of covering with something, so
A
we
giant
don't have to.
hell.
Yeah.
Well, it could be if it's got enough
that's
for me
it.
to grow.
And I
yes.
want to cover that hill with juniper, but I don't know if it'll work because it's a little bit hot. All right, let's get to a new question. I have young apple and pear trees that never fruited, about 7 feet tall. Tips on pruning.
All right, this is a loaded question. Okay, because there's a lot of different pruning strategies and techniques. There's a lot of similarities with pear and apple trees, but certainly pruning when they're young is something you want to do. You want to get them in a good starting point where you have your scaffold branches and your main leader kind of where you want it. With apples and pears specifically, this is different with peaches and other stone fruits. But with apples and pears, you really want to try to get a nice, sturdy central leader system. So you want one main stem that's going pretty straight, and then off of that main stem, you want scaffold branches that are going at as close to a 90-degree angle off of that stem as you can.
That's about 135. It looks to me.
Yeah.
Like.
It really was.
Yeah. Anyway, getting that to that point is kind of what you want.
Kind of obtuse as it was going to.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
We don't want acute angles. That's
No,
No, not at all.
There's nothing cute about a cute angle.
Not at all. So we need to
Absolutely
take
not.
those. Any crossing, rubbing branches, and clearing the interior as much as we can of little twiggy guys. Gonna get rid of that. But I could talk a lot about pruning. I do pruning over the wintertime for folks, especially on fruit trees. So if it's something that you may want to learn or you want to come out and chat with me about, maybe I can show you how to do it once, and then after that we can, you can do it yourself after that, because it is a little bit involved. It's a process that's it's a little bit detailed. So I'd like to give you more details.
My guess is, and that this is just simply conjecture, is if that little bitty tree is just about 7 feet tall, it's probably not very old either. So, I mean, it's probably just a baby and it may not have gotten to where it could even produce a whole lot of fruit, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, even a young tree like that can flower and fruit behind that. It's just that you don't have the amount of stems to produce a ton of flowers, first off. And then whenever you have limited amount of flowers, if you do get fruit off that, then they're very subject to other issues down the road. So you might have had fruit early in the season, and then you may have had a pest issue, or you may have had a fungal pathogen come in.
Or frost.
Or a late frost, things like that happen on young trees. It's just bigger trees have bigger stems, more flowers and fruit to be produced. So, that's really all that it is. But getting it, on the right path to be able to fruit later is really what you want to do with young fruit trees here.
Yeah, and one of the things you can do to get it on the right path is using supernatural compost, Josh.
Yes, you can.
And by using supernatural compost, what you're doing is that you are adding all the best things that Mother Nature naturally provides to the soil, all the micro organisms, adding truly living organic soil to your existing soil to help it, whatever it is, your fruit tree, your fruiting shrubs, or just your other trees and shrubs in your yards, ground covers, it doesn't matter. Earth Mix Supernatural is a great all-purpose compost. It is not sold as a fertilizer, but your plants don't know it's not.
Don't tell them. Don't.
It really helps them grow their very best. So use it for that. And, of course, there's a whole host of other Earth Mix garden products that are one of which is great for every landscaping gardening purpose, whether it's Earth Mix Garden, Earth Mix Landscape. Those are products, as you might guess,
I use both.
Or for the intended purposes. One's for your garden, another one is for your landscape.
Yes.
And then there's Proganics O for outdoor container gardening. You might not be doing that right now, but I bet you're doing indoor gardening, Proganics I, and no one gets yawny on that one.
No.
I caught Caroline yawning as I was talking about.
She was out late, so
she was out late,
okay.
So
Yes, I was.
So anyway, no matter what your landscape issues are or whatever project you've got going on, there is an Earth Mix Garden products available, and it's available at locations all over Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. Go out to earthmix.net, click on the Find Earth Mix tab, and when you go there, you'll see a map that shows you all the pins of all the different locations
And
around.
needles.
Simply click on the one nearest you or put in a box with your address for turn-by-turn directions. Remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden products. And Tyler was out representing Earth Mix Garden products last week.
Testify.
right.
Why don't you
right,
give
I
us,
did.
Why don't you give us a little synopsis on that, how that went and what you learned and who you encountered?
Sure. That's a lot. I won't take up too much time with but
you just pick one of those.
okay. So Earth Mix was super proud to be a presenting sponsor of the 2022 Tennessee Local Food Summit. And that's basically a gathering of foodies, chefs, restaurant owners, local producers of farm goods and produce, even like local things like locally spun wool.
Cool.
It's candle making, beeswax, honey. Like, it's all this local food web that it was founded by Jeff Poppin quite a few years ago, and has since kind of bloomed into this nice little event. It was in Lebanon. Earth Mix, we were there. We set up a table. We had our brochures and our sample material because we feel that Earth Mix is part of this local food web.
Absolutely.
You know, at the origin of all this great food that's been being produced, you need good soil. And so that's kind of what we wanted to say Earth Mix is here for. You know, all the ingredients in Earth Mix, except for maybe the coconut core, is sourced within 100 miles of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep.
So
it doesn't contain things from the bowels of Milwaukee, does it?
No, it does not.
No. Okay.
No, you're right. No,
Yes.
no Milorganite can
No.
touch this. Also, Earth Mix is pesticide and herbicide free.
Yep.
So that was one big question we had at the food summit about our products.
100% organic. There's nothing but pure stuff in there.
Yep.
That's right. So, and I met people who were like, I use your products. They're great. Like, I'm so glad you're doing this. And I met people who were like, please come to this city. Please come to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
I met people who had no idea. And I was like, well, you can get your Earth Mix at Flower Mart.
And
you can get your
Yeah.
Earth Mix at Martin's
Murfreesboro.
home garden. you
Yep.
know?
And you were one of the featured speakers, were you not, in the
I was.
afternoon session?
Yes, I was asked to spoke about how we have a deficit of good topsoil here in the urban and suburban areas of Middle Tennessee. When new homes get built and new developments are made, they strip the topsoil back.
You know what they do? They sell that to the
Other guy.
neighborhood down the street
Yep.
because theirs has been sold to somebody else. It's the
Right.
Eventually, there'll be one left at the musical chairs of soil at the end that'll have no soil.
Exactly.
Apparently,
It's
that's where
it's the high rises, folks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So how do you help restore that soil, that biome that was there? Well, Earth Mix can help quite a bit with that.
Yep. And I tell you what, folks, and this is unabashed plug for it because I use the products as well. Do yourself a favor. If you have a gardener or someone who loves houseplants and that kind of stuff in your life, get them a gift certificate for some Earth Mix for Christmas and stick it in the stocking. I mean, you can go to all these dealers.
It is
I'm
a
sure that
difference
they all
maker.
will have some sort of gift certificate or a electronic card of some sort that you can say, and hey, I know you're going to go down to the nursery. Please do me a favor. This present is for you to get a bag of Supernatural or Proganics Eye. Hey, it'll be a big hit. It's not the gift that you could get the bag and put it underneath the Christmas tree,
well, sure.
but it's gonna be hard to wrap. I mean, it's
already wrapped.
well,
Put a bow on it.
You could do
Bing.
that, okay, but I mean, if you have to have craft paper or
yeah, well, we don't.
We'd have
we
to
don't
have
endorse,
something-
we don't endorse any particular brand of paper.
really,
But, no.
Craft mac and paper.
but
Oh,
do so. You will be a hero come next spring. I'm telling
All
you.
right. Well, thank you for giving us several moments to talk about that, and we'll now resume.
We'll get off
with
with
our
talking
normal
dirty
program.
and we'll
and
go
I'll
on.
just say the Tennessee Local Food Summit, it's a great little event. We had a lot of fun there. I think you would
Yep.
have fun too. It's open to the public. They just charge tickets, but they have cooking demonstrations. You can learn how to make all kinds of food. There was how to make like Korean food there. It was amazing.
All right.
Had
So-
some bulgogi going on.
Thank you,
there.
Tyler, for representing Earth Mix products well.
Happy to do it.
Okay.
Get it?
Caroline's awake again.
I am. Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Caroline, we
Is
have.
it too late to plant pansies?
Oh,
Can you find them?
That was our next question.
Well, you snuck it in there.
I did. Yeah.
It's not too late to plant pansies if you
But
can
where are
find
they?
them. Yeah, we are very low currently.
I mean, we got some in,
a
and
handful.
then they immediately, 90% of them went out immediately.
Yeah, pretty much because we were probably the last ones in town to have them. So yeah, it's fine to plant pansies right now. Like I said, if you can find them,
And
should have been
they're-
done a long time ago.
Yeah, and they're glorious this year
You're,
too.
you're
Good.
only
Mine are rocking.
2 months late.
yeah.
Only
Pretty
2
much, yeah.
months.
Uh-huh. So anyway, there you go.
So there it
Sorry,
is.
no more pansies.
All right, Tyler. Sorry.
no, it's okay. We had a live YouTube question.
Oh,
From-
with a close-up Tyler cam.
That's right. Hello. Gina, I'm connecting with you right now through YouTube. Hi, how are you doing? Good morning. Gina asks, staghorn fern accidentally left out in the cold, presently in the garage near a window. The leaves are pretty dried up. If I cut it back, will it grow more leaves?
Okay. She claims it was an accident.
Sounds like negligence to me.
Well, you know, was this premeditated?
Landscape
Did you
aside?
have second thoughts about it and go, I should never have done that?
I understand.
What do you think,
So
Caroline?
it sounds like it's probably fine. And if the leaves are dry, it probably just needs some watering. But anything that looks damaged, looks like it might be dead or gotten bit by frost. I mean, if you were here in Middle Tennessee and you've left it out recently, the nights haven't really gotten cold enough to do any damage. Now, a couple weeks ago, yes, that would have been the case. But if it was just the last couple nights, it should be fine. But if there are dead-looking leaves or leaves that look like they got frostbite, you can cut them all the way back. It will start pushing out new leaves as long as that shield, that piece that's in the middle that looks kind of like a lovely little clamshell, is still happy and alive.
I'm going to
should
guess.
keep growing.
I'm going to guess that she didn't move it in and then move it back out, and then.
I don't know. I do that with my plants.
Well,
They go in and out and
you
in and
do
out.
that because you're willing to drive to Huntsville to do a show on a Friday night before a Saturday morning. But most people are not so industrious.
That's true. I do like doing things constantly.
You have a scale of activity that few people can compare with. So I'm going to guess that it probably got left out in that, near teen low temperatures. It might not make it.
It might not, yeah, but you still have a chance.
Yeah, it's worth taking a shot at it.
And I've had other plants that I've left out that I thought I wanted to give up on, and I was like, well, do your best. It's, here you go. And they got frostbit just on the top, but there was still enough life left in like the base of the plant that I was, when I decided I didn't want to kill that plant, brought it back inside, pruned it, and it refleshed. And there's a lot of plants that respond well to really being cut on.
I'm not feeling good about this one personally. I'm just telling you. I think it was less accidental than this being proposed to be. I'm thinking that maybe there was, some ulterior motive.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
Gina, keep us updated. Let us know how that.
Maybe she's
how that
covering
does.
for someone else. Who's maybe there's a
That's
co-conspirator.
called collusion.
Do you know Gina, David?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
No, I
Just
don't.
wondering.
No,
You
no,
seem
no.
She was married to Jeff Goldblum.
I'm
wasn't she?
just giving Gina.
That was Gina Davis.
I'm just giving Gina grief. I have no reason to believe it's anything other than a pure, outright accident.
But Gina, if that shield, like I said, is still green, if it's still alive, there should be some life left in it, and so just put it near the light, give it a good soaking when it's dry, and we'll hope for the best. All right, let's get another houseplant question in.
Okay.
Here we go. Suggestions on pruning a Dracaena that is becoming too tall for its space. So cutting on Dracaena is fun. They're really, really easy plants. They're easy to maintain, easy to keep that shape that you want. So if it's getting too tall, you can just go, depending on how big the actual plant is, you can just take that stalk, that stem that is too tall, cut it back to the height that you want. Now, once you do cut it back, it's going to push like 1 to 3 new little pups that are going to come out that are going to keep growing. So you'll want to take it back fairly far so you don't have to cut on it next year. But like I said, once you do cut on it, it will start pushing out new growth, or should. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but most of the time it will. And then you can take that cutting, you can stick it in rooting hormone. That's what I normally do with Dracaena cuttings. It's just like a powder. You can get it at your local garden center. We have it here at
Cheap.
Bates Nursery.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's worth having around. It lasts forever. Put it in that rooting power. It is powerful.
Rooting powerful, yes.
Stick it in some soil. You can put it in the same pot or a new one, and it should root. Now, I have heard of people being able to root Dracaena in water. I think I have done a couple, but they do a lot better in a drier growing condition.
What do you think about doing an air layer on it? I think that's the most reliable way, to wound that and then wrap it in some sphagnum moss, and you maybe put some rooting hormone on there before you put the moss on there, and then moisten it, wrap it in aluminum foil, and it's usually a really good way to do things. And once you get roots that start out into that sphagnum moss, you simply prune just below that, plant that in the ground, and you're good to go. Just do it at the height that's just above where you anticipate you want these breaks to come out that you were talking about. And it's a great way to do it. But you kind of have to think ahead a little bit. If you're wanting to get it done this weekend, it's too late to start. You got to go ahead and just cut it and then use a more traditional rooting method.
Yeah. Austin does have a great webinar, the Bates Botanical Boot Camp.
Easy for you to say.
Botanical Boot Camp.
Like David said, I was in Huntsville until pretty late last night. He has a great webinar on propagation where he does talk about air layering. So if you're wondering what that is or how you go about that, check out that webinar. It's on the Bates Nursery website. It's on our YouTube channel, and you can learn all about air layering and other propagation methods from this guy.
Yeah, my
right
biggest problem
here.
with the rooting hormone is that the bottle is so small. You put it on a shelf and it gets lost, and then you all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 bottles of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're getting wild over there at the Cary house.
Hey man, well you got to go. Hey, we had Teresa asked if we had closed captioning. You know, we did not have audio for a minute, but Teresa, in all seriousness, you can turn on closed captions on the At Home Show page.
I think it's pretty hilarious sometimes because I will watch them occasionally, see how plant names come out.
Yes, it's quite funny.
If you say diseases like Phytophthora, or how will that actually come out when we watch it back? We'll soon find out.
It came out Phytophthora. But I mean, I turned them on because I usually am not listening to the show on the computer. But
we appreciate that,
yes,
Josh.
I know you do.
Well, you usually reserve that noise making for alarms and bells
and whistles,
which we normally expect that. Hey, while we're stopped here for just a moment before we go again, let's talk briefly and quickly. About Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And I want Santa to look right here. It says, visit with Santa at Bates.
Ho, ho.
Those are 5 words that should make everyone glee. If you could just glee, just glee.
Just glee?
It will make you glee. And you can come out to see the booth and actually bring the family and have your picture made in it.
And the dog.
You can. And Santa will be here from 10 until 1. So we're looking forward to seeing jolly old St. Nick. I hope he's jolly when he sees me. He may look at me and go,
naughty list.
You have made the naughty list because you didn't put me in the newsletter this week. Sorry, Santa. I had a bit going on. I just kind of dropped.
Stuck a needle in your eye, man.
It's the best excuse I could come up with. Anyway, come out and see us. We have, other than pansies, which we have a very limited selection of, we have a great selection of everything else. Tree shrubs, ground covers, fruiting and ornamental plants. We have got ornamental grasses. We have every different kind of
pottery oh my
you can think
gosh,
of.
Look at the pottery.
And, of course, in Caroline's Corner, better known as the greenhouse area, all the tropicals, she has a tremendous selection there that she'll be really happy to show you what we've got. And so come check all that out and all the other great things we have. Also, we have fully half of our area covered under roof now. So you don't have to shop out in the weather. It's all...
it's the whole half.
It's the whole half, yes, which is 0.5.
Yes.
Last time I figured. So come check that out. I also invite you to check out, we have I do a newsletter every week. You can go to the website and read it where it says new blog post. And this week's post is called Time Is Now. And if you read that, you'll have a better understanding of
some of the little innuendos that go back and forth.
When will then be now?
Yes,
soon.
So
it is strange, the paradox that time is, that I can write something and it's now, and you can read it and the time is also now, and that time could be hours or days later. So it's still both now. Strange.
Deep.
And but so is life within my cranium. It's just strange. So come out and see us. We have Bates gift cards that you can email directly to the loved one, the horticulturalist in your life that you want to share some goodness with. And maybe you don't know what kind of plant they want. I guarantee you a Bates gift card fits any size,
shape,
any budget. You just get whatever you want to get for whomever you want to get it for.
They don't expire.
And if say your in-laws live out of town, you can say, hey, you can go over here and buy me a gift card and email it to me, and it'll make me really happy. So anyway, check that out over at Bates.
It'll make you glee.
it will put glee in your life.
Okay.
Mustachioed glee. I always catch Caroline doing that. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, we're conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway. That's exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike. That is just minutes, Josh, from Rivergate, Opry Mills, Nashville West, downtown Nashville. It's worth
the drive from everywhere.
Yes, it is.
And anywhere.
Yeah, check out our website, batesnursery.com. Everything we sell is available for purchase online. So check it out there. You can order it. You can set up delivery in local Nashville area. So all that's available right there. Check it out at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. And thank you for giving us a moment to chat about that.
Don't forget about the tools and the Espoma line and everything that's up front in the area. You've got pretty things, you got cute things, you got windmills, you got everything out there.
We got all
tools.
kinds of stuff. We got Routone. Yeah, I mean there's
somebody just asked us about that yesterday. Actually,
so
where's the Routone?
There you go. So check it out.
Hey, we got a question through the Bates Facebook page, messaged to us directly from Floyd. How can I help my Christmas cactus bloom?
Is he a barber?
I don't know. Is his first name Pink?
He is not a boxer nor a barber.
But he does have a Christmas cactus
Yes.
that
That's right.
needs some help. So the way I get mine to bloom year to year, I talked about it last week, is I put it during the spring and summer, I put it on my front porch where it's getting a lot of bright indirect light. And it stays in the warm, summery, hot conditions that we have here in Middle Tennessee. And then in this fall, sorry, my brain is catching up, I move it inside. So it comes into my house, I put it in a darker place, and with that change for my Christmas cactus, it kind of forces it to start blooming. So for me, changing the environment for that, and about 3 weeks into me bringing it inside, I start to see the buds on it. And mine blooms around Thanksgiving because that's about the time of year I bring it in, and it starts pushing those new blooms. Now, you can put it in a closet. Some people do that. I have heard of a lot of grandmas that have done that. A lot of my friends were like, yeah, my grandma had this amazing Christmas cactus, and she would just shove it in the closet and just keep it in the dark for months and then bring it out before Christmas,
quite
and
the
it would
visual
start blooming.
Grandma shoving this
Shoving that giant Christmas cactus.
Then she turns around and she's like, how you doing, hon? You want some
Do you want a
casserole?
cookie?
You want some sweet tea?
Be careful, don't back into my Christmas cactus. I just shoved it in there.
But those respond well as far as blooming to that, their environment changing. Now,
Especially if you shove them.
especially if you shove them. I don't shove mine because, I'm not that aggressive.
Just gently coerce it.
Yeah, so that's the response I have. Kev, do you have anything? When I say Kev, I mean Austin.
I mean, I think you nailed it. Just a difference in the environment for sure. So being in all that light, or at least indirect a lot light, and then temperature. So bringing it inside the home, and then like she said, it's similar with poinsettias. Putting them in a closet for a week or two or whatever. That's going to change their daylight length. You're gonna trick them, force them, and they'll end up blooming.
They are photosensitive in that
They're
they
just
need,
plain sensitive all the way
They-
around.
they are sensitive.
Once you cross and I don't know what exact the number of hours or minutes of daylight or day length needs to be, but once you cross a certain threshold, is where they stop growing and they start going into bud setting mode. So,
So
probably somewhere less than 10 hours.
So how many photos would you say you'd have to say before the plant begins to respond? Showing on your phone, in an album?
10,227.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, we have another question, and I'm probably
Photosensitive.
going to butcher this word, but we'll see. When I say word, it's a plant name. And it might be from Tyler's mother.
Oh.
Good morning, Tyler's mom, if this is you. No, I could be wrong about that. We don't know what's happening this morning.
She's everywhere. She's like a chameleon.
She's
She
all over-
was in Huntsville last night too, by the way.
So
Did
was
your
Corey
mom
Berry.
come to my show? I did hand out hot dogs to the audience. All right, I live in North Alabama. My new Palisades zoysia is still green. How can that be? How close did I get that name, Austin?
It's been really warm, though.
It's zoysia. Zoysia's a turf grass. One of the best turf grasses, if you ask me, too, especially for the southern environments. It's good here, too. As you go further south, it's a really tight, dense, weed choking out turf. I mean, really, really thick. You can walk barefoot with no problem. And I'm assuming that your weather hasn't been cold enough to make it go dormant. That's just kind of what it is. If it's still up and green, then good for you. Keep it as long as you can, because as the winter draws on, it is going to go dormant and turn that tan color. So
is there anything prettier than a weed-free zoysia lawn?
No. There's
And
nothing.
then, somebody could have been spray painted.
Even in the summertime.
Yeah, maybe
night.
someone spray painted.
Yeah.
It's the best turf to golf off of. I tell you that. I love to play golf, and Zoysia fairways are great. So probably my favorite turf. It really is. It's a really good turf. My dad lives in East Texas, and he's got it. And my kids love running around his yard. You can almost bounce on it. Really good turf. So you're just lucky. It's still up, but it will go dormant. So get ready.
So get ready for that.
But it'll still be springy, though.
Yep.
It will. Yeah, it's still springy even when it's dormant.
Speaking of springy, let's spring into another question.
Okay.
Oh, my limelight grew out of control this summer. Can I cut it back now, or should I
We
wait?
made it all the way to 10 minutes or 9 minutes till the hour before we had our first hydrangea
I can't believe
question.
it.
It's
today.
surprising.
That just shows you it's December.
Yeah, but hey, limelight hydrangea, it gets big, don't it, y'all?
Oh,
It gets
mine's
big. It gets
huge.
big quick. And yes, it can certainly be cut. Now is the totally great time to do it. And you want to take it further than you think. Don't be gentle with it. I mean,
How
really.
you know what I'm thinking?
You want to shove it in the closet?
No, I
You
don't
ain't shoving
know.
that in the closet. It's too
Okay.
big. It's going to outgrow
Yeah,
it.
you
but-
can't fit a limelight in a
No.
closet.
And you don't have to worry so much about where to cut it back. Don't even think about it all that much. I mean, I know some people that literally hate seeing the sticks up over the wintertime. So they just cut it to the dirt.
Wow.
And then you see this response in the spring. You're not going to be able to hurt it. You're just going to make it mad cutting it back, because it's going to get right back pretty much to the same size it was.
Revenge growing.
That's
Ooh,
right. But it blooms on
revenge growth.
It's one of those hydrangeas, too, that bloom off new wood, so you don't have to worry about how you're going to cut it. Don't even think about it. Just give it a great trim. It's going to be right back.
Now, I have, although it's a rare phenomenon, I have seen hydrangeas that have been cut back severely rot out over the winter during especially wet weather because they have hollow stems, and if those stand in water for extended periods of time, they rot. So just
can
FYI, it can happen. It's not very common, but it can happen.
It can.
Yep.
Limelights are resilient. I know I've talked about mine, but I hated where I had them planted originally, so I dug them up. They sat on my driveway for a month in the winter when they were dormant. I put them in the ground, and then they got like 6 feet tall this summer.
And still bloomed.
And
There
still
you
and it
go.
looked
Awesome.
gorgeous. Okay, here we go. Is it okay to add compost on top of leaves in my garden bed, or should I remove them first?
The leaves or the compost?
Yeah, that's more aesthetic, really. If
Yeah.
you don't like looking at the leaves, you can remove them, but they're not hurting anything by being down around the ground level. Now, if we're talking about some plants that are real close to the ground and say they had some sort of fungal issues or something last year, like getting up those leaves and being clean about that is helpful for next year. But if you're not seeing any of that, it's just natural leaf drop from trees and
Unless it's like a sugar maple that is heavy leaf drop. Sometimes you'll see those that can drop a foot of leaves
Yeah.
in one spot. That might be a bit much, depending on what you're got underneath there. But
yeah, but it'll never hurt to put compost on top of leaves. They'll
No.
just they'll
Yeah.
compost
because
with each other.
they are future compost.
That's right.
Future compost.
We have a question, another hydrangea question from Darren and Donaldson.
I wonder who that is.
Ho, ho, ho. What about cutting back an oak leaf hydrangea? How far back?
A little bit different. So we've
Yeah,
talked
buddy.
about this a couple different times. Oak leaves get crazy big, and you really do have to keep them in check. Do know that we're going to prune them. You can prune them after they bloom to kind of deadhead, and then get them back in check. That's probably about the best time to do it. Now, you can shorten this time of year if you need to. It's nice to be able to prune something when they're dormant, because you can actually see their stems and where they're going or whatnot. So it's fine to do it now, but you are going to lessen your bloom set if you do it now, because you're going to cut off some of those buds for the summertime. But honestly,
Actually,
oak
you're
leaves are
gonna-
resilient.
Yeah, you're gonna
Probably
you're
cut
not
'em
gonna
off.
just lessen it.
Yeah.
You might not
Probably
have any
limit
at
'em,
all.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, wait till next summer.
But
after they bloom.
every few years, it's a necessary activity
Mm-hmm.
just to rein them in, because even the best of the so-called dwarf types, are not all that dwarf.
Nope.
So you need to cut them back pretty severely every few years to bring them back in, and it really helps them a lot to have that beautiful foliage that's close to the ground at that point. Even if you don't have blooms for 1 year, it's really no loss because you really get a great look at all fresh foliage, and all the stems are kind of somewhat hidden for at least 1 year anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, it is.
It's just a point, though.
But it is. All right, so we have a question from somebody near and dear to the At Home Show.
Oh boy.
What do you do for mealybugs? The bleep killed my daughter's plants. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I hope she didn't lose a lot of plants. Mealybugs, they can take over. If you don't look for those, if you don't see them and start treating them early on, it can get out of control very quickly. Now, if you're able to get a handle on it early, they're fairly easy to treat. Now, what I usually start with is just a Q-tip dipped in rubbing alcohol, and I'll just kill those little suckers on the
One
spot,
by
just one at a
one.
time. Just take them out.
You can hear them scream if you get your ear down really close.
If you get really close and listen, they tell you their secrets right before they die. Just kidding, they don't. They don't have any secrets. They're stupid bugs that kill your plants. It's pretty gross, especially if you get big ones, because they react to the rubbing alcohol and they turn red and their little bodies kind of.
Oh, we can
So
torture the little
if you're into
SOB.
stuff like that, you might enjoy that.
Let me ask you this, Caroline: have you used both 70% and like 90%?
I usually use 70%.
Because the other might be a little too much.
The other could be too much, kind of depending on how sensitive that plant is. If it's smaller, like more paper-like leaves, they're probably going to respond to it worse than other types. And sometimes I do water that 7. Oh, there they are.
They're telling each
That's
other
how you
secrets.
identify them right there.
They're telling each other secrets
There
right
you
there, and
go.
that other one
Yep.
is running away because it does not want to be a part of that.
Well, it's a juvenile.
They're actually talking about
it's
the
not
little
meant
one,
for juvenile ears.
Yeah, it's not. But this is what I would say the most, or one of the most common houseplant pests. So like I said, David asked that great question. I would use 70% or even water that down. Sometimes I'll just spray a plant down with rubbing alcohol, but I do like a 1 part rubbing alcohol, 3 parts water ratio. Neem oil, insecticidal soap, those are two.
So here's a math problem.
Yes, figure
If
that
you've
one
got
out.
70% alcohol and you reduce its
God.
volume by 2/3 with water, what percent alcohol do you have as
You
a
still
result?
have 70%.
Well, the alcohol is still 70%, but the net,
That's a trick question.
the alcohol that's in the alcohol is, but
Yes.
the difference between all alcohols is how much water. The 90% alcohol, you could make the case, Josh, that it's
Is this-
all 100%.
you were asking about the by volume, alcohol by volume.
the alcohol
ratio.
by volume, yes.
That's 4.9.
Okay,
Okay.
That's a
close
good one.
enough.
No.
All right,
It's
but
not
anyways, let's
4.9.
kill those little evil-looking things. So if that doesn't work for
3.2
you,
in Florida. Yeah.
hush, Josh. Like I said, rubbing alcohol, insecticidal soap, those are things that are going to kill the bugs on contact. So it's not going to control it. So you're going to have to keep retreating it until you squish that problem.
I was going to say 23.33.
Now-
I was
but-
going to, but pretty much, pretty close. 2/3.
I'm giving you my teacher look now.
No, it's the face.
Across-
We call it the face. That was David, not me, by the way.
Y'all are in trouble. So you can move to harsher options that are going to be a little bit more toxic. So if you have children or pets, you'll want to keep them away from the plant as you treat it. 8, Captain Jack. There's numerous options out there that we have here at the nursery. One of my, I wouldn't say favorite go-tos, but I use it if I have a really bad infestation on a plant that I don't want to toss. Now, sometimes I'll just toss the plant. If it's not worth treating, I'll get rid of it. But there is a houseplant systemic treatment. It's granular.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, granular.
Not this morning. That you mix into the top layer of the soil, you water it, the plant absorbs that. It's going to make the plant poisonous. So when those pests feed on the plant, it's going to kill them. It can take up to a couple months to really treat that plant, but it will knock that infestation out. So that, I would say that's your final go-to. If none of those other options work for you, you can go ahead and treat it systemically. I do know some people that just pre-treat all of their plants. I don't do that just because I don't like to mess with them unless I really have to. But when you have pests on houseplants or really any plant, it's a sign that that plant is starting to ail a little bit. I've noticed that if I have a plant that I haven't fertilized, if it looks really sad, if I need to repot it, that's the plant that's going to attract pests. So you also want to, clean up that plant a little bit, make it happy again so it can fight those pests, just like how our immune systems are down.
So
We're
the
not
question
taking care
is,
of ourselves.
is it harsher or more harsh?
You know what? Someone else answer that question.
That would be
Let's
the
see.
harshest way of looking at it. Miriam wants to know, when you're removing a rosette-infected rose, does the soil have to be removed and replaced as well?
No,
Ooh.
Miriam. Nope. That disease is spread by a bug, a mite, actually.
And he doesn't mean maybe.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
So yeah, removing that is fine. I mean, you could literally plant a rose right back in that same
Yep.
hole, and you
Get
may never see
all
the
the
issue
leaf
again.
fruit trash. Get everything out around.
But this is a great time of year to be thinking about. I know
Yes.
we're coming up against it. This is a great time of year to be thinking about dormant oil, because guess what? Things are dormant.
Yep.
So this is the great, and that really goes a long way towards helping deal with such pests such as spider mites.
William Adam
Yeah.
Chapman commented
I
about their
just
new
saw
profile page. It's Kev. Okay, you'll have to go out and take a look at it.
By the way, if you don't know who Kev is, it's this guy. I keep accidentally calling him that, but that's his nickname around the nursery.
Well, when he's out on deliveries, he's
he's
Kev.
Kev.
Everybody knows that.
So now you all know.
I got like 5 nicknames.
You
Kev's
do.
a good one.
That they tell you
The
about.
other 3 we can't say on the air.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
All right, it's 9:00.
Yeah.
Well, it's 9:00, but we were audioless for part of it. So if you,
He's going to give us an extra 35 seconds.
All right.
That's
You
right.
know what? My hypothesis this show is that Caroline has had to do more talking than normal merely to maintain consciousness.
I think that you're probably correct.
She's been, every time she stops talking, I catch her yawning over there. So
I'm doing my best, and I think I'm doing a great
no,
job.
Doing great.
you have done a wonderful job.
And
I
There's
did
Kate.
beat both Tyler and Austin here.
yes, you did.
Just want to throw that out there. Not that I'm better than you, but I'm proud of myself.
You actually got here this morning before they.
I got here before they did. When I have a late night show, especially out of town on a Friday night, I always worry a little bit about being late or sleeping in.
She
but
obviously never
did
went to
it.
the Lee Victory Fish Fry then, did she, David Bates?
No,
You just
no,
keep
no.
going and just keep
Yeah.
partying all night long. Just roll up.
Josh has done a broadcast the morning after.
Yes, more than you might ever know, folks.
and I had to take his commercials away from his live reads because
Think about the possibilities when you say Rock City Machine Company, and you'll
it didn't come out Rock City.
City.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said, Josh, I'll be doing those spots the rest of the way.
That's okay. Take it away, Dave. All righty, folks. We apologize for the early technical difficulties, but it's that thing's going to happen because this is a live program.
It is a live program.
It comes to you alive every Saturday
Hey,
morning, but you
Santa's
can view
coming-
it everywhere.
Santa's coming to Bates Nursery live today from 10 until 1.
Ho, ho, ho.
Come see him. Take pictures with your family. And Santa,
Yes, absolutely. And hey, go out and social media, like, share, tell everybody about the At Home Show because
Sure.
we love you. And guess what? We'll see you here next Saturday morning.
We'll be right here.
Yeah, we'll be right here from the garden
with
center.
the audio turned up.
And Kevin will be here too.
We love seeing all the interaction out there too. Thank you for commenting.
Absolutely.
Thanks for chiming in, and we'll always be here to answer your questions.
All righty, bye.
Unless the volume's not up.
Right?